he is in the same country as one of his kids, but there's no plans to see old mate Harry, are there?
Exactly the way they are. That his son is a and they don't get along anymore, even though the dad is actually very sweet.
He walked away from the royal family. He gave up his titles, his position, his place in the institution. He thought the chapter was closed. And then Buckingham Palace made an announcement about his children, and everything changed. Welcome back to the channel. The story of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepping back from royal duties is one of the most documented, most analyzed, most debated stories in modern royal history. But today, we are not talking about Harry and Meghan. We are talking about their children, Archie and Lilibet, two young children who were born into one of the most extraordinary families in the world, and whose identity, whose titles, whose place within the royal family has been at the center of a quiet but deeply significant battle. Because Buckingham Palace has now made something official, something that has stunned observers, something that has implications not just for Harry and Meghan, but for the future of the monarchy itself. Today we are breaking down exactly what happened, what it means, and why this moment matters far more than it might appear on the surface. Let's get into it. To understand the significance of what Buckingham Palace has revealed, you need to understand the history that led to this moment. When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle announced in January 2020 that they were stepping back from their roles as senior members of the royal family, the announcement sent shockwaves through the institution and through the global media. They moved to the United States. They gave up their Her Royal Highness style for day-to-day use. They began building an independent life outside the royal structure, with Netflix deals, podcast agreements, charitable foundations, and public speaking engagements. And through all of it, the question of their children's identity within the royal family remained complicated, contested, and deeply personal. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was born in May 2019. At the time of his birth, under the letters patent that governed royal titles, he was not automatically entitled to the title of prince. He was a son of a prince, the grandson of the heir to the throne, but the rules as they stood meant his title was not guaranteed. This became a source of significant tension. Harry and Meghan, particularly in their interview with Oprah Winfrey, raised concerns about the title question, about conversations that had taken place within the palace about whether Archie would receive a prince's title, about what that decision meant in the context of other concerns they had raised. When Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor was born in June 2021, named after both Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana, the same questions applied. And the question of who these children are, officially, formally, within the structure of the British monarchy, has now been answered. Let's talk about what actually happened, because the details matter enormously here. When King Charles III ascended to the throne following the death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022, the rules around royal titles automatically changed. Under the existing letters patent, the legal documents that govern who holds royal titles, the children and grandchildren of monarch are entitled to prince and princess titles. With King Charles on the throne, Harry became the son of the monarch, and that meant his children, Archie and Lilibet, automatically became entitled to the titles of prince and princess. This was not a decision that required anyone's approval. It was not a gift that could be withheld. It was the automatic operation of existing royal rules. Buckingham Palace confirmed this. Officially, in the court circular and in official royal documentation, Archie and Lilibet were listed as Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. For Harry and Meghan, who had publicly raised concerns about whether their children would be given these titles, the confirmation was significant. It answered a question that had been at the center of some of the most painful and most public parts of their departure from royal life. But the confirmation also raised new questions about what these titles mean for children being raised in California, about the relationship, or lack thereof, between these young royals and the institution whose name they now officially carry, about what the future holds for a generation of royals who exist entirely outside the royal structure. Some people look at this story and ask, why does it matter? They are just titles, just names. In the grand scheme of things, does it really make a difference whether two children in California are called prince and princess? The answer is yes. It matters significantly, and for reasons that go well beyond ceremony. First, security. Royal titles come with certain security considerations and protocols. The question of what level of security Archie and Lilibet are entitled to and who pays for it has been a point of very real and very practical contention. Harry has spoken publicly about his concerns regarding his family's security arrangements since leaving the royal family. The title question is directly connected to that security question. Second, succession. Prince Archie is currently 5th in line to the British throne. Princess Lilibet is 6th. These are not ceremonial positions. In the admittedly unlikely event of a succession crisis, these children's places in the line of succession are real and significant. Their official recognition as prince and princess is connected to their official position in that line. Third, identity. This may be the most important dimension of all. Archie and Lilibet are growing up. They will one day be old enough to understand who they are and where they come from. The question of their official identity, their place within one of the world's most historic institutions, is something they will have to navigate as real human beings. How that question is answered now will shape how they understand themselves later. And fourth, the message it sends. The confirmation of their title sends a signal about the relationship between the palace and Harry's branch of the family. A signal about whether the door is fully closed or whether some form of connection, however formal and distant, remains. How have Harry and Meghan responded to all of this? Their response, characteristically, has been measured in public and likely far more complex in private. Harry has spoken in various interviews and in his memoir Spare about the pain surrounding the title question. He described it as one of the things that hurt most, not just a question of whether his children would receive titles, but what the conversations around that question revealed about how his family was being treated within the institution. The Oprah interview, watched by tens of millions of people around the world, put the title question into the public consciousness in a very specific way. Harry and Meghan raised concerns about conversations that had taken place about Archie's future title. Those statements were contested by the palace. The back and forth became one of the most analyzed and debated elements of the entire Sussex saga. Now that the titles are confirmed, now that Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet are officially, formally recognized, that particular chapter has a resolution. But resolutions do not always mean healing. And the relationship between Harry and the royal family remains complicated by everything that came before. Meghan has talked about what it means to her children to know their identity, to know where they come from, to have that acknowledged officially rather than quietly denied or indefinitely deferred. Whether the title confirmation changes anything practical about the family's life in California, probably not significantly, but symbolically, for two parents who felt their children were being treated differently and unfairly, it is not nothing. Let's zoom out, because this story is not just about one family. It is about an institution, one of the oldest, most scrutinized, most debated institutions in the modern world. The British monarchy is in a period of significant transition. Queen Elizabeth II, whose extraordinary 70-year reign provided a kind of stability and continuity that the institution built its modern identity around, is gone. King Charles III is on the throne. Prince William is the Prince of Wales and heir apparent, and the question of what the monarchy looks like in the 21st century, who it includes, who it represents, what it stands for, is genuinely open. The Sussex situation sits at the heart of many of those questions. A mixed-race woman entering the royal family, the challenges she faced, the departure that followed, the public reckonings with race, with mental health, with a gap between the institution's public image and its private reality. The confirmation of Archie and Lilibet's titles is a small piece of that much larger picture, but it is a piece that tells us something. It tells us that the rules, when applied consistently and without exception, produce outcomes that cannot always be controlled by those who might prefer different outcomes. It tells us that Harry's children, whatever their parents' relationship with the institution, are part of the royal family by blood and by law. And it tells us that the story of the Sussex branch of the royal family, however far from the palace they live, however independent their life has become, is not fully separate from the institution they left.